becoming a conduit by which this energy can express itself, right? When you talk about Ra as an energy, we talking about, for lack of a better way, the UV rays. They are the coding system for the upgrades of the planet that comes in cycles. As you move close to the cycles, the somebody somewhere on the planet is going to tap into the frequency to download the raw energy again. This is the temple priests of ancient Atlantis, ancient Kemet, ancient India. The temple priests used to do it in seclusion. Now we are moving to a collective awakening where all of the knowledge cannot be concentrated on one individual in one location, and the world have to revolve around that individual. Now we go into what's like open source data where everybody can tap into the great egregore or the universal mind. And according to your genetic frequency, you will be able to download the information that the universe has tailor made for every individual. Yours is for you, mine is for me, Brother Rich is for Brother Rich. And then we get put together to weave this tapestry of information for other people to have their sparks of awareness, you know.
That's powerful.
So you study the raw material because you have a particular personal message that's related only to you and your bloodline. And by you studying the raw material, the message is going to materialize. It's like cream rising to the top. The more you study it, the more the message you was intended to get becomes apparent based off your character, your personality, and information that's coming through and how they sync together,
Mm.
you know.
Okay.
So it's a whole lot of other channel materials out there. I don't want to give too many of them because some people would drive themselves crazy trying to jump cross bloodlines before they downloaded their own.
Mm. Yeah. Hey, well, Tamara, I appreciate the question. Tamara, let me see that book real quick before you get out. Let me see that book because I never got that book, but I always hear about it. Let me
I
see.
don't know. Okay, that's fine.
Let me put it
All
on
right.
the screen. So let me see, son. The Law of One, Book One, the raw material. Yeah, because I literally was just watching a video. And this white dude was talking about that book, The Law of One. So it's interesting
Mm.
that you bring it up today. I gotta look into that. But I appreciate the question, Tamara.
Thank you. I appreciate y'all.
Oh, okay. All right. Take care. All
Yeah.
right. All right.
When you
Shout.
talk about the law of one, we talking about the great law. It's the
Mm-hmm,
law of love.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I don't like talking about that love shit because there's too much misery going on. But the reality of it is you can't escape it because you can't get rid of the misery until we learn to collectively embrace the love frequency. And we've been saturated with so many different um, doctrines of hate and division that we find every excuse not to do work with good people because they don't look right. This one redhead, that one blind, that nigga too dark, that nigga too light. You know what I'm saying? We always got an excuse. The sun gonna kill them all. If the sun ain't gonna kill, they ain't killed them all yet, then they ain't gonna kill them all. Whatever the narrative where you can pin it to a doctrine of hate, whether it's through science, whether it's through technology, politics, religion, war, they all stratagems of war. It's only to keep you from ever realizing that at the end of the day, when we get to the conclusion of this great story, it's going to be one individual sitting there having all of these different ideas as a different person personified throughout the annals of history that comes back to the one in the end, the law of one.
Mm.
As it was in the beginning, so shall it be in the end.
Right.
If the first was first in the beginning, then the last gonna be made first in the end. It's the same thing. It's just the flipping of the system, flipping of the cycles, the
Right.
changing of the yugas, the year, the great calendar.
Right.
None of this is new. Like when you read Michael Cremo's book, Forbidden Archaeology, and he get to asking question about artifacts that's older than stuff that they telling us is old. Like that ain't even old. What
Right.
about this 5 million year old footprint they found in California that's obviously a boot. You don't want to talk about that. What about this 2.5 million year old spark plug they found some drilling for oil some hundreds of thousands of feet down? It had to be millions of years according to the geology and the strata and how they determine date by strata. So when they start asking these type of questions, modern science is stumped because they only start history at 6,000 years ago. They don't start history before then. When they start history, when they start talking about before 6,000 years, they start giving it fancy names like antediluvian or pre-antediluvian, all of this type of shit. But the reality is we do this because we eternal. We create conditions and circumstances for experiences for an eternal being to experience itself as it goes through eternity. Otherwise, you'd be guys sitting there by yourself doing nothing on top of a mountain watching nothing.
Right, right.
And that what kind of life is that? When you can get down into the ghetto and engage with the paupers.
Uh-oh.
Some of the guys is literally sleeping in cardboard boxes behind the liquor store or in the subway on Skid Row. The guys is there because the strongest ones had to be the infrastructure, the foundation on which everything else is built. But when they get their awakening and source tell them, okay, now it's time to change the system, then they can't stay pauper guys no more. I be trying to stay po. I can't stay po. The universe keep telling me it's coming, but it ain't time yet. But we ain't gonna let you be in poverty because the pauper guy energy is reading the spiritual script raw and uncut. And it's the most disturbing shit you ever want to experience when you first start experiencing it. But as you go through it, you be realizing, wait a minute, this ain't new. I did this before. When did I do this? And then you start contemplating on when did you do this? When did I see this? Then your life start rewinding in cycles.
Right, right.
Then your collective lives start opening up to you. Right? So this is your awakening. We did this. This ain't new. None of this is new. It's just a chapter of misery. And if you don't feel like you don't want to be here, you didn't experience the chapter of misery. The ones who experienced it is the ones who suffered the most. That's who was intended to suffer. But now the suffering then got so comfortable that the ones that's doing all of the suffering will have a knockdown, drag out fight with you if you try to take them out of the suffering. But when you leave the physical body, the joy and the suffering is the same value to the God. It doesn't, there is no emotions outside the physical body. It's pure empirical data. Straight binary code system data. There is nothing for you to in-house what's called an emotional body. The emotional body is the side effect of your spirit interacting with your flesh. And you need a navigation system. So you're supposed to learn to read your own emotions as your navigation system as you move throughout your life. And then they begin to tell you, it's time for you to do this. It's time for you to do that. And this is what they're saying, doing things on God time versus man time, right? The God time is the longest taking shit because God don't got time. God time takes so long because God don't experience time. So to God, it's an instant, but to you, it's a knockdown, drag out, drawn out process. And that's because when you leave the physical body, time doesn't confine you. When you go to sleep for 8 hours, you have 100 different dreams, but you only remember the most important ones.
Oh yeah.
Right? And in that 8 hours, you didn't live lifetimes in your dream. And then you woke up and you was like, whoo, that dream was so real. I will never want to experience that again. You just remembering something you already experienced in the state of the dream. Right? So this is where all of the awakening and all of that, all of the convergence for the awakening, moving to the singularity, the law of the one, which is the law of love, versus the law of the two, which is the polarity to love, which is the opposite, which is the hate. So now you have the twin pillars, severity and mercy, right? And they got Samson tied between them, begging for his locks to grow back because he should have never told that slimy slut that his power was in his locks.
Right.
But he told her because why? A man in love is a damn fool until he realized that he's in love, and he realized that he don't have to be a fool in love. He can love without being a fool. He can become the wise man. And that's the remedy to the man in love being the fool, is when he realized, I'm not going to be your fool. The only other option is I have to be your wise man.
Mm-hmm.
I have to solve your life's condition as a wise man in order for me not to be the fool. Otherwise, I'm just a damn fool pedaling through life on a leash to this person that I love. And people will use love to do more dirt to you than the people that say they hate you.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, the people that say they hate you try to avoid you. But the ones that swear up and down they love you, them the ones that's constantly fucking you over. Them the ones constantly crossing you out, undermining you, chopping you off at your knees, killing your dreams. You'll never be a singer. You don't sing good enough. But I write great songs like R. Kelly, right? But R. Kelly wasn't supposed to be big as Michael Jackson because he don't have that voice, but he got that pen. So the universe have a way of strengthening you with your strength applied to your weakness if your weakness is your goal. So you got to make your weakness a strength, and you got to maintain your strength while you do it. If your strong point is a writer, then write the songs that accommodate your vocal styling. This is what make great songwriters, singer-songwriters. They got a whole collection of Time Life music called singer-songwriters of people who wrote songs that was one-hit wonders. They wrote it themselves, though, and they knew exactly how to sing it to get the optimum performance from the song. It's the same with painting. Hell, the movie Eddie and the Cruisers is based on the life of a writer named Arthur Rimbaud who wrote one massive selling book and disappeared. And they thought he was dead until they found him on his deathbed 60 years later. Right? So all of these stories that's being played out in front of us, they only here for one reason: to bring you to the attention that you are the one. And whoever is listening, I'm talking to you. I'm not talking to me. I'm talking you, the one that you've been waiting on. And Malachi York said it better than anybody I ever heard. He said, the helping hand that you're looking for is at the end of your own arm. As soon as you realize that, you can start to build your life how you want it, instead of letting all of the loved ones hold you down with dead weight. Oh, you would never be a ballet dancer because you started when you was 12 instead of when you was 5. Or you will never be a professional boxer, because you ain't applying yourself because you let everybody else's doubts creep in and tell you what you can't do. The greatness of man and the greatness of the self is to realize your skill set and then find out where the universe wants you to use it at, and you can't help but be great. Mike Tyson.
Amazing.
Right?
Hey,
look, if Mike Tyson in his prime would have ran into Stan Tukey Williams in his prime, we talking about knocking sparks off each other.
Man.
They both known for them hands. The difference, what's the difference? Big Tukey was natural. Mike Tyson was the best trained fighter in the history of the game. Right? Now, Mike becomes the philosopher of war and combat. After the collective experience of going to war with the likes of Razor Ruddock, Evander Holyfield, Bone Crusher Smith, Pinklin Thomas. He went in there with gladiators and he came out victorious, but when Don King got a hold of him, now the serpent rears his head and he loses to the stumble bump. They call him a stumble bump for a reason, because if you slipping up on your game, he have the right motivation. Buster Douglas' mama just died. He got the right set of circumstances. Mike Tyson is over there fornicating with as many Japanese hookers as he can, and he's bringing his celebrity homeboys over there to indulge with him.
Yeah.
Like Bobby Brown.
Yeah, he said that. Mike said that.
So this is what you call creating a perfect storm for a loss.
Yeah.
Buster Douglas in his training level, there's no way he would have whooped the same Mike Tyson that Michael Spinks fought. But when you have him going through his love drama with his girl, crashing his Bentleys in the trees out of emotional distress.
Mike was wild. Mike was wild. Mike said during the Spinks fight, he had 2 different women in the crowd. Mike was a wild dude, man. He was wild, man. Shout out to Mike.
But who gonna tell him he can't be who he is? Because he got these to back up him proving who he is. Right? It's a whole lot of cats, but they all got to come with something else. They can't come from here and tell Mike what to do. Ask Mitch Green. He tried it in the clothing store and came out with a shiner. Yeah. See, so when we talking about aspirations of greatness, it's killed by the loved ones trying to protect you from the greatness that you're going to incur because the conditions we went through, any signs of brilliance became a death sentence for our people. This is why we don't know who the chiefs is on the land, because they done villainized them, demonized them, and gave them bad names and bad raps. They created conditions around them in order to bring them down. So you see Diddy take a fall. You see people like Larry Hoover been in there for like 50 years. Angel Bay been in there 40 years. You know? And they didn't stop. They kept coming. They went and got H. Rap Brown on that. If you need to go back and look at that trial. Anybody that want to see a travesty of justice, go look at the Imam Abu Jamal Al-Amin trial. That's the most ridiculous thing I ever seen in my life. And nobody don't pay these things no attention because we didn't settled on the idea that this people that call themselves the United States is the rightful governors of the land. So whatever they do, they got to be right. They dead fucking wrong. They don't belong here. Right? We tribal people we on tribal land, but we living under a corporate structure that does not acknowledge nor accept the tribal conditions or positions.
Indeed.
So the only thing that we can do is try to wake up as many of us as we can to the reality that it's over with now. Big Mama home and her baby boy beating on his chest, pounding on the concrete, swinging from these lampposts through all of these cities, using social media as a vehicle to inform as many as possible that we back for everything they owe. Our ancestors are buried in mounds all over Turtle Island, North, South, and Central. And they speak through us. They're not going to get up out the dirt and come talking to you. But what they will do is they will find somebody genetically compatible to who they were and say, hey, bruh, deliver this message for me. But you're going to think it's coming from you because it's in your DNA code. Mm-hmm. All the DNA code is a computer program. And all of the scientists in biology, epigenetics, and they all know this. They ain't gonna tell you though. They gonna make it sound like the genome is some outstanding. It's just a computer program. That's it.
Hey, Rod, let's get to 2 questions. We're gonna do 2 more questions, family, and then we're gonna get out of here. It's been a magnificent show. I want to thank everybody for joining us once again. If you came to see Queen Afua, she was having technical difficulties, so she'll be back on the show in about 2 weeks. She got a couple of things she got to do, but she'll be back on in 2 weeks. Let's get to
Hey, can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we hear you just fine, sweetie. How you doing?
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah. Can you turn the computer
down?
Yeah, you got to turn your background noise down, though.
My question is okay.
Press mute.
Okay, my question was I can't hear y'all though.
You can't hear me? You can hear me now?
You can't hear us on here? You
Rashida.
just you muting and unmuting yourself.
Rashida, can you hear me, Rashida? Rashida, can you hear me? Oh, Rashida, we might have to get back to you, Rashida. Rashida, can you hear me?
She can't hear you.
Yeah, let's get to.
She's saying nothing.
We're gonna have to get to. I got Tylon Slaughter, my brother. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you good. You good to go.
What it do, huh?
Peace, Richard. How's it going with you?
Not much, man. I want to shout out to brother Rich. I'm a Virgo as well.
All right, all right.
Just shout out to you. I got a question. I've been seeing things in the sky since 2022.
Mm-hmm.
Every day, every night. I also see the color indigo. I see the color green in my visible spectrum. And the last part of this question, in one of my astral travels, I had a dragon chasing me. Chased me for a while until I
Did
stopped
you say
running
a
from
dragon?
it.
Dragon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Until I stopped running from it. And when I stopped, I realized it mirrored like my every move. It was basically, you know what I'm saying that, hey, I'm
So
you in a way.
in the old